Hello again, and welcome to the Unnamed Sports Podcast. I am Brian.
I'm Rob.
And we're here again to go over last week's conference championship games, and we're going to go over each of those games. We're not going to predict anything. We're going to wait till next week to do that. So just, hold on. But yeah, let's just jump into it. The 49ers versus the Eagles was not fun.
It was disappointing.
It was.
I felt bad for Purdy. That's his name. So it was almost like he tore his ACL in his elbow.
Oh, he has to get Tommy John surgery. He's a pitcher.
It's going to be a year before he's able to play.
Which is insane. And you look at the guy, he had such a great season. He comes on out of nowhere. He's the last man picked in the draft, and then he's just wrecking through everybody. I don't think he didn't lose a game. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, those are the first.
Who was the guy that?
I can't remember.
The guy that put both quarterbacks out. The guy on the end there. He was phenomenal.
That was the thing. I think the question with the Eagles was always, are they as good as their record showed that they were?
Yeah.
And it was hard to kind of say yes, because they had beaten some pretty questionable teams, and then they had lost to Washington and
Minnesota.
Yeah, and Minnesota at some point. And so you're wondering, are they that good? But did they destroy the Giants? And then going into the game with the 49ers, before Purdy gets hurt, you really thought that the 49ers were going to be able to hold him.
Yep.
And so, but once the injury happened, I think that sent a ripple effect through the team where, how can you even believe that you're going to win? And even if you win, what are you going to do in the Super Bowl?
I know. Well, they said there was a possibility in 2 weeks Jimmy G would have been ready.
Oh, really?
That's what they said, but I don't know what that. They said that during the broadcast.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's one of those things where the team never had a chance, because after that injury, they had a quarterback who's a veteran who is terrible.
He's been on the roster for 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, so it
never
was,
played it down.
It was never going to look good, and so there's still that question. That question with the Eagles. It's are they that good? But they must be that good.
Well, one of the things is they ran the ball down their throat for the entire game. I don't think they had a passing touchdown. There was 4 or 5 running touchdowns.
They didn't have a passing touchdown. They did have that one pass that was on 4th down. That was an incomplete pass.
Right at the beginning of the game. First drive of the game.
That would have changed the whole game. Yeah. And I don't understand why.
See, now, there you go. You have replay. You have this and that.
Guys in the booth.
And the guy, as long as you run up and hike the ball beforehand, then it doesn't matter whether you really catch the ball or not.
Yeah.
You don't even have to catch it.
And the guy was going like this. He was gather up.
I know.
I didn't catch the ball. You would think.
And the other team doesn't even have the ability to look. They didn't even have the ability to look at the play.
Yeah.
After it was over.
I always say, my thing is, anytime you see a person, hey, let's huddle up. Let's huddle up. If you have to be able to notice that, and then it's the biggest game.
You're going to lose it. You're going to lose a timeout. In retrospect, even if they didn't get it, it would have been better for them to lose the timeout to make sure.
To make sure.
But
And it's the thing with the Eagles is that their offensive and defensive lines seem like they're unstoppable.
Yeah.
And that's always going to be the worry moving forward for Kansas City is Patrick Mahomes is hurt, but is he going to get rocked by this team's defense?
Yeah.
Because the last time he had to go against Sue and other people like Sue, it didn't go so well.
Yes.
But I think that's
Sue is in the middle of that line now, isn't he?
Yeah, so he's back.
Unbelievable.
The other thing that we could say about this game that I was talking to you about, that one of our producers helped us realize, was the New York City skyline with the Empire State Building was lit up green in honor of the Eagles. As a New Yorker, whoever did that should be found and either kicked out, exiled from the city, or potentially thrown from the roof of
that's a historical fact. That's
I've never I had people texting me and saying what is going on? What's happening here?
Wow,
how could this be? The New York the Post said, where's King Kong when you need him? Just knocked the whole building down. I mean, I don't understand how they thought it was going to be a good idea or how it was going to go over.
Someday New York will get its revenge.
Yes, they will. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I can't believe that they did it. I thought that was an insane thing to do. They said they were going to do it no matter who won the conference championship.
Way back when, remember it was between the Red Sox and the Yankees. They buried Babe Ruth's
jersey.
Yeah. In Fenway Park.
Yeah.
Remember all that stuff? That was a long time ago, but
I do remember that.
Very funny.
All right, so now I guess that game was such a dud.
Yeah.
I mean, I do feel bad for like Kittle and everybody on that squad because it was just such a dud.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the game of the night, which was the Bengals versus the Chiefs in a game that I thought the Bengals were gonna not like handle them, but I thought it was gonna be a bit too much because Mahomes was injured, and even during the course of that game, he lost like 3 of his top receivers.
Yeah, they had nobody left except for that one guy, and then the tight end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Valdez-Scantling and Travis Kelce were the only 2 left.
Unbelievable, and he was on one leg.
You saw him. We saw him limping around.
He was trying to run a little bit, and he saved himself for the last play of the game.
Yeah, seriously.
You know, their defense held them in the game,
and that's what I don't think anybody. If anybody would have anticipated, like which secondary was going to come up with 2 interceptions, I don't think anybody would have said Kansas City with all their rookies, and they lose Snead in like the first series, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so you think, but then you realize like how good Chris Jones is.
Yes.
And I know that like as well as Patrick Mahomes played, without the play of Chris Jones and Frank Clark and that defensive line, they would not be where they are.
But that also was coaching because Chris Jones was in a different place
everywhere,
every play, and they just couldn't. You know, they could find him, but then they couldn't double team him. It was the way they manipulated the line.
Yeah, pre-snap.
Pre-snap, they gave him the ability to get through, and maybe Joe Burrow doesn't make as many calls at the line as he should, and maybe he will as he gets older.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and into it a little bit more.
I felt like for Burrow, it was. He didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
But he had some plays that were just spectacular. Like those 4th downs, the 4th down when he threw it down the field to Chase, his touchdown that he threw.
A 20-yard run he had right up the gut.
Right up the gut. Like that was a big time play. There was, you know, in the second half of the game, after the Mahomes like fumble thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be okay. I had texted a friend of mine. I said, you know, it's time. It's Burrow time. You know, Burrow's he's gonna march down the field just like he had done in the previous games that he had played against the Chiefs.
Yep.
But then he throws an interception, which was really just a great defensive play.
Yes.
And then his offensive line, starts getting sacked again. But I thought like when he got the ball back with like about 2 minutes to go, he had like a 3rd and 16.
Yeah.
And he threw it down the field to his tight end. I thought that was it. I was like, okay, they got 3rd and 16.
He was wide open.
Yeah, because the guy fell down.
Cincinnati should have won.
They should have won. And then, like, we were talking about it off camera, but I felt so bad for Joseph Asai. This guy, the whole game, you heard his name. He was the one who was chasing everybody down, getting back there. He was everywhere. And then he was everywhere at the wrong time when he pushed him out of bounds. And then I saw, like, did you see the video of the guy as he's going into the locker room? He's like, how do you touch the quarterback? How do you touch the quarterback on his team?
Oh, really?
One of his teammates was like freaking out. And I understand, but everybody makes those kind of mistakes. And you're in chase mode.
Well, they you know, local sports, they were interviewing Ted Johnson. And he said that in his career, he never did that once. And he was always so mad at people that did that. You get near the sideline, you let up. You
kind of just
you have
guide
to
him
let
out
up.
of bounds.
But I think if you're in chase mode for 4 quarters and you're chasing this little water bug that's running around, and you know what I mean, it just kind of gets the rest of you.
And also you got to think about that moment. That moment is such a big moment where he's going to try and get a first down. Like, I don't want him to get that first down.
Well, the other thing that Ted Johnson said is that a lot of times you don't see
what's even down
down here, meaning to the sideline.
Yeah, because the face mask is like
you don't see it. But I'm not trying to, you know. I think one of the things that did hurt Cincinnati in that game is the coach of Cincinnati was barking at the officials because they made so many stupid moves.
Yeah,
he was constantly saying to this guy, why, what, how?
Trying to understand, like trying to just get an explanation.
And you have no time to do that because you're supposed to be into the game.
Yeah.
And the clock is going, and it really the reffing was odd. I'm not saying that they were the reason why, but it just
they certainly didn't help,
and it wasn't seamless.
No,
you know
no,
what I mean?
and that was the thing. Like, I mean, I know on every play in an NFL game, you can probably find a foul.
Yes.
You can find some kind of penalty, a holding, a push in the back, or a block in the back. But this game had like that third down thing where they're like, well, the ball was in the wrong spot, so we're going to give you another.
I think the other thing that really bothers me is that now we have Joe the official, the retired official in the booth, who tries to, he's only there to say, well, they really did see the call and no, you know, they screwed it up.
They screwed it up. And I mean, it honestly, I mean, they've been doing such a good job this year of kind of going upstairs really quick. And if it's the wrong call, they've been good at reversing it.
Yep.
I think they're going to have to move forward and kind of still just kind of get a little bit better at it, because I don't know how the guy in the booth is better than every ref that's down there. Like, I wouldn't have actually called that. I would have like there needs to be a way for the people on the ground to have the same eyes as the people upstairs, and it just needs to be a little bit better.
I hate to say it, but I think that, and they don't want to do it in the game, but there has to be a way of slowing down to the line, to especially on anything that's like that, anything that's controversial. They just can't just start the clock at 25 seconds. Let's go. Boop, boop, boop,
yeah.
Because especially in a playoff game, a championship game, you need to be able to absorb what's going on.
And the thing is, you have such a good product. And I was talking to a friend of mine, if they ever took football away, I would take to the streets. I would march. I wouldn't march for a lot of things, in terms of social causes. I don't think I'd march for a lot of things, but I would march if they took football away. Wow. And they have such a good product. They have such a good product that you want to make sure that we're talking about the product on the field and not the refs. Yeah. And the refs can ruin it. And no matter what, at the end of every game, you're going to look on some message board and people are going to be like, oh, the refs did this and the refs did that. And if you're on one side of the fence, you're going to be like, I don't blame it on the refs. And if you're on the other side.
I have probably hundreds of Laker feeds on my over the last week, and we're not going to talk about that. But because of what happened, you know what I mean?
The LeBron.
It just appears on my. I'm like, how many of them is there? You know what I mean?
It's unlimited.
Oh my God.
And the Laker fans are obnoxious as they get. So that was. I would like to kind of also just before we move on to focus on the everyone going into this game really questioned how good Mahomes how well he would play.
Yeah.
And he made so many plays that game that you're like, if this guy had both of his legs,
I know.
What in the heck? He is so good. And I really don't know, like it's every game I feel like he shouldn't be able to pull it out. And I felt like that in this last game. I'm going to feel like that going forward when they're in the Super Bowl. It just seems like the odds are stacked against him. But it was one of the greatest performances I have ever seen. And I know people are saying like, Joe Burrow is a better quarterback, but Patrick Mahomes is a better player. That makes no sense to me.
No,
I mean, I get it, but I also don't get it because they both are quarterbacks and one of them has better numbers than the other.
I guess Burrow is kind of a Tom Brady, like that, cool under pressure, can put the ball in. But Mahomes is, he's what's his name? Steph Curry of football. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he does things that you've never seen before.
There's no play here. I'm sorry. There's no play. And then he makes a play out of that.
Yeah, or there's no chance. There's no chance.
There's no chance. You know what I mean? He's on one leg. He's out of bounds. And he's able to pull those plays off. Andy Reid must just scratch his head. You know what I mean? It's like he's just...
I was looking at highlights of like some of the old conference championship games that they had, or one of the playoff game that they had against the Titans a couple of years ago, when 11 seconds left, he makes this crazy run down the sideline and kind of spins into the end zone while almost losing the ball. And I know that Andy Reid is probably like, don't just go out of bounds, and then you see it's just like when Steve Kerr, there's a play, Steph Curry does a dribble around 8 different dudes. He turns around and shoots it up. And you could see Steve Kerr on the sideline like, it went in. Okay, that's great. And I'm sure that's what happens.
Those are, plays that we all look forward to seeing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And those are the ones that you remember. And he's so memorable in that respect. Joe Burrow is a winner. And I'm amazed at how mature he is and how cool under pressure he is.
Oh, yeah.
And he's taken Cincinnati to heights that they haven't had in 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
In 2 years, you know what I mean? In 3 years. He's going to be around for a while. But Mahomes is different. And I think one of the things about Mahomes is is he really going to get hurt someday?
Yeah.
It's just like Josh Allen,
Yeah.
Is he really going to get hurt?
Well, I would say that he's less likely to get hurt than Josh Allen, who just seems to try to truck people.
Yeah.
He tries to run into people. Mahomes has got a little bit more of like shiftiness to him. I mean, when Mahomes gets out of the pocket and he scrambles, he's usually sliding down or he's usually running out of bounds. He's never lowering his shoulder.
You always think he's going to get hit from the side by some guy.
You always think.
Dominican Sue, here we go.
He is so aware. He's so aware of what's going on around him.
He really is.
And I also think before we also get off, we have to talk about all of the trash talk that was leading up to this game.
Yes.
With the mayor coming out saying all of his stuff, I think
Kelsey saying afterwards.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, I think going forward, everyone was talking trash, and then Joe Burrow was going to have to be the guy to kind of deliver the goods. I think it's smart and Joe Burrow was like the only person I didn't hear talk.
Yep.
He was the only one who kind of was quiet until after the game, and he's got to kind of like talk about the game. But before then, it was, everyone's Burrow head and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I think going forward, Cincinnati and every other team needs to recognize that you don't give bulletin board material to any team.
Well, that's Belichick all over.
Exactly.
What I mean? You're going to sit if you do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If anything, praise
let's welcome him up the foot thing with Ryan.
Yeah.
And he sat him to his detriment. But, that's part of the team culture.
It is. And I think moving forward, it's always smart to just kind of keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
And just go play. If anything, say they're the greatest team we've ever seen. They're so great. So everyone on there is just awesome. And then you can maybe inflate their heads a little bit and then beat them on the field. But all right, so now we're going to move on to, we actually have some questions.
Cool.
We got some questions that people asked us. So we'll start off with question 1. Fan of the show here, looking to hear your take on Brady retiring. I know I had my money on him dropping the Bucs to try clutching out one last more Super Bowl with his friends on the Raiders. The announcement just felt really sudden. What do y'all think?
Well, I do think it was sudden, but I think that it was a long and tiring year for him in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
His marriage, the team, he never looked happy 1 minute out there the whole season. It was like he was realizing he was in the middle of a mistake. He made a mistake. Now, when San Francisco went down and they don't have a quarterback, he's from San Francisco. He was a fan of San Francisco. I said, this is going to
be the perfect landing location.
Made in heaven. I think he just decided real quickly that he had made a mistake.
I agree. I think that he was looking like some of the passes that he was making in the last game that he played, they just weren't passes that I've ever seen him make. Like he was just kind of throwing it into the dirt, kind of a couple of feet in front of the person he was throwing to.
Yep.
And, if I were him, I would have probably left after I won the Super Bowl with the Bucs. Because then I would have been like, look, I won a Super Bowl with these guys, and I'm done. I'm better than everybody. I'm better than my old coach. That's how good I am. That's how I would have played it. And I think it's just so weird because, all that stuff with his wife and all that, like, we can all sit there and pretend that it was football, like she left because of football. But there obviously must have been more going on. Because, if I'm with somebody for that many years and then we divorce and I'm with the jiu-jitsu instructor and then the other person's with some supermodel, it must not have been that great.
Yeah.
I'm taking some time. If I break up with my wife, I'm taking some time to kind of reevaluate who I am. And I think that, he was getting to a point where it's like, what more? I understand you love the game so much and you never, you won't be able to do it again. But what more do you need to prove? Now you can go and have your contract, $300 million TV
if you've watched that, like Jordan came back to the Wizards.
Yeah.
Jordan went and played baseball.
Yeah.
Because this isn't giving me the rush anymore. I can just wipe everybody clean.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and hit a baseball, which I can't hit. You know what I mean? I'm going to come back at 40 on the Wizards.
Yeah, which is never good.
Another one is Brett Favre when he was on the Jets. You know what I mean? So they can't get rid of it.
So you don't think, I mean, I think everybody would agree, you don't think there's any chance he comes back now.
I do not this time.
Yeah, I think the 49ers was a good option. The idea of him going to the Raiders, I couldn't see just because they're not that great of a team.
Yeah.
And I don't think he trusts the coach that much.
Well, as a coach, you're trying to build an organization. So you're not going to get a quarterback. You're going to spend the money on him.
Yeah.
1 year, 2 years.
And you need to have a bunch of people around him. That's why the Bucs work so well. And that's why that's why even when you look at somebody like somebody who's still in the league, Aaron Rodgers, they're like, well, the Jets are like a good landing spot for you because they have all the pieces around you.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I think people in Green Bay are like, can we just be done with this guy?
I know.
Nobody cares about it anymore.
If he goes to the Jets, which, they have a pretty good team, and they would rise real high. But if it doesn't work out in New York, after that, he's going to really take it on the chin.
Well, wouldn't it be weird, like, Brett Favre went to the Jets.
I know.
And then he would also go to the Jets. It's like the Jets is the landing spot for everything Green Bay. Like,
what about Miami?
Well, they have people, I guess. You told me Tua's coming back.
Well, that's what they're saying, but I mean,
he seems to be somebody who's like bound to get concussions all the time.
Yeah, well, whatever. Let's not talk about him.
Yeah, I think Brady's done.
Me too. I think he's done.
And I mean, you can't say anybody's going to ever have a better career. He has more Super Bowls than every franchise out there. Yeah. So I think that's that. We can move on to question 2. Hey, Rob and Brian, longtime listener, first-time emailer. This isn't exactly a sports-related, but I figured was close enough to ask. Recently, my love of the game has come between me and the missus. I tried to explain to her that I was really super stoked on her and the kids, but push come to shove, we mutually agreed to spend some time divorced. As married guys, do your partners understand just how important football can be? Any advice for explaining it?
Well, first of all, you're asking whether my wife understands. I don't think she really understands
the passion of the game.
Passion of the game, but she, I try hard at other times to be there. Yes. Because she's doing that for me.
Yeah. I think that's the key. The key is you're rarely going to find a wife who loves football.
Yeah.
It's a diamond in the rough. You're barely I think my wife understands my love of the game because she grew up in the Midwest in college football world.
Yeah.
Her father goes to all those games, to the Hawkeye games.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I told her, I came back from Brooklyn. I went to go to New York to visit my mom, and I came back on Sunday, and I said, I'm going to be there for the first game, and I'm not helping with anything. I'm not helping with anything. And she knows that's okay because I help outside of football. If she knows that I'm helping outside of football, I can have this designated time where I'm in the basement screaming to myself. That's what's okay. But I think, it was funny because this past weekend, the Cincinnati game, I'm downstairs watching the game. It's getting late. The kids usually go to bed around 8 o'clock. And after the game, I go upstairs and I tell my wife, thank you so much for putting the kids to sleep. I really appreciate that. And she looks at me and says, I didn't put the kids to sleep. And so I go upstairs and the kids are just in the room. They're just awake. And it's like almost 11 at night. And I'm like, what are we doing here? So I don't think, I think there's I don't think there's any way to explain it. Like I said before, I'd take to the streets if football was taken away. So there's no explaining it. You just have to do outside of football. You have to be a good husband, basically.
Yes.
You can't expect everything and then get football time as well.
Well, everybody, my daughter lives way off Cape, and she calls up and says, how is he? You know what I mean? How's it going there? The dog is cowering in the corner, pacing around. It's been my whole life. I've been like that for a long, long time. I really like sports, but one of the things that's happened to me as a Boston fan, because we've won so much now, it's nothing like it was with the Red Sox when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because we were so
you needed it.
And the Patriots were the worst team in football for years and years and years.
Now you've been spoiled.
So now I've been spoiled, and I really try to say to myself, well, it didn't work out this year. So-and-so got injured. I'm more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But during the game, that's not the case. I'm able to justify that afterwards.
Yeah.
But not during.
I know for a fact that I've scared my children while watching a football game. Because it's, they're off doing children things, playing with Legos and stuff. And then all of a sudden there's like a madman screaming. And they don't know. It's as if there's a Viking in their house.
So do they ask you what's going on? What's this all about? Do they watch it all with you?
No. I've tried to explain the rules of football to my wife.
Yeah.
My dad tried to explain the rules of football to my wife. And you could just see her eyes gloss over.
I know.
And then she just looks at me like I'm a crazy person. So there's no like, my aunt is a huge like college basketball fan. She knows all the teams. She goes to all the games. Like she's a big Arkansas fan, so she goes to everything. She knows all the stuff. The only person I know, the only woman I know in my life who watches football is my mom.
Oh yeah.
She watches the game and she'll call me throughout the game. She doesn't know the rules either, but she understands. She told me, I know what a touchdown looks like, is what she's explained to me. So I think
my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, has always been right on with the Patriots. She really.
I would love to have.
Love that. And my wife will say, that looked like a foul. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
she'll
try.
She'll try. You know what I mean? But she doesn't understand why it's upsetting or.
No, Tiffany doesn't understand why I care about these people who make all this money and they have no impact on my day to day.
I know.
But I don't know. Like even when I watched the World Cup, when I was watching Messi try to win the World Cup, I was losing my mind. I'm a huge Messi fan. And that was the only time I think they watched it with me because it was just the hype, the drama, and all that stuff was. But they're gonna it's when the Super Bowl comes, they should watch. Yeah, and I want to put them down in front of the TV and watch.
For a long time, when the Super Bowl came, we would be invited over to somebody's house, something like that, and I go, no, I can't go. I have to watch.
Yeah,
I can't be.
I don't want to be talking to all these people.
Throwing chicken wings and I'm focused here. You know what I mean?
I want to watch the game.
That's changed too. I'm a little bit more relaxed about it now.
Yeah, I haven't been to a Super Bowl party in years, and so maybe this year I'll do something. But
yeah, we're going to a Super Bowl party.
I need to.
Somebody who's a Kansas City fan,
Oh, good. All right.
Kansas City fan. So,
well, so let's get to question number 3. What do you guys think of Damar Hamlin? Will he be back on the field at all? Seems like he's out of the hospital and up and moving again. Do you think there's a chance?
I don't know. I mean, it's just the way I see it is it's scary, and it's scary for his family. They're going to be so on edge if he's out on the field. I was telling you earlier, a lot of times guys like this, and not in every situation, but they find another direction for their lives.
Yeah.
And they, because to see all your loved ones so worried about you and all these people so worried about you, and you're going to go on the field and here comes a halfback going 20 miles an hour at you with his helmet, you know what I mean? It's just pretty scary. I'm guessing that he's not going to come back.
I would put my money on not coming back.
I don't know. I just hope stay healthy and live your life. That's all.
Yeah, I would say that the likelihood of him coming back is pretty low. Like I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but something like that happening once is very rare.
Yeah.
But I think it might happen again. I mean, it seems like, and I don't know, you put your heart through that much stress.
It has happened a bunch of times, and it was high school and college games, and the people died because there wasn't the medical team right there with people that really know what's going on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He was brought back to life.
Yes.
And so my thing is if I was him, I would be concentrating all my efforts on just getting into if I want to be around football, I'm coaching.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and start my coaching career now. You're in your low to mid 20s. if you start now, you already have an in with all of these teams. You can probably get on the coaching staff of the Buffalo Bills.
True.
And then you can kind of just ride that out.
See, I see him as somebody that's going to be able to get defibrillators on every sideline in America.
Yeah, every high school has a defibrillator or something
and training. And they said that there's this huge boom of people learning CPR and learning how to use defibrillators.
A part of me wants to have a defibrillator in my house. Like, if you never know.
You don't know.
To answer the question, no, I don't see him playing again.
Me either. I really don't.
And if it was me, I wouldn't play again.
Yeah.
But there's a passion for the game that I understand, but that's so scary.
And you're looking at the worry of everybody that you know.
Yeah,
even think with you, and they're worried about you, and they're just, next time you go on the field, they're just going to be.
I wonder how other players playing against him would feel.
Yes, that's true.
It's like they get to Hamlin, they're like, "Oh, let me just go down, because I don't want you to. I don't want to stop your heart again."
Very true.
So the likelihood, to me, it's not very likely.
Me too.
But all right, well, I guess that's going to do it for this week. Next week we'll come back with a preview of the Super Bowl. And if you have any more questions, you can email them to, it's going to be on the bottom of the screen. I'm not trying to, it'll be there right now. So yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. I'm Brian.
I'm Rob. Thanks for watching.
All right. Take care.
See ya.